FM News Talk 97.1. On-demand audio.
During her 4 years at the State Department. And she also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email on that personal domain.
Well, the evidence continuing to mount there as he was talking about what they found in this investigation and how thorough the investigation was, and then at the very end determined that there just wasn't enough evidence to prove that she did anything wrong. So like magic, she left her appearance, her speech this morning, and climbed aboard Air Force One to jet off into the sky. It's estimated that it costs $204,000 an hour to operate Air Force One. So the president, therefore, is contributing taxpayer money to the Hillary Clinton campaign today by jetting across the country with her to make a campaign appearance. Wouldn't you say? Donald Trump tweeted about it. Why is President Obama allowed to use Air Force One on the campaign trail with crooked Hillary? She's flying with him tomorrow. Who pays? And he called the FBI report very unfair today. So you have to expect that. I will tell you that our Twitter poll is up, and it basically deals with this. Despite evidence Hillary was extremely careless, FBI recommends no charges. Was justice served? Yes or no are the options there. And you can go to @MarkCox971, @TonyColumbo971, and you can vote. And we will tweet this out here in just a minute. Hang on just a minute. So I'm going to retweet that as we're talking here on the air. And we'll have the results for you tomorrow here on the show. Let me get to Joe real quick, who's been holding on for a few minutes. Joe, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Mark. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
This really takes the heat off of Loretta Lynch, doesn't it?
Oh, sure.
So all she needs to say is, what could I do any differently than these qualified experts in law enforcement and investigation? Oh, but the point is this. Let's ask some of the journalistic questions to who, what, why, when, how, whatever. When did this scandal break?
When did it broke? My goodness, they've been looking into this since what, 2014?
15, just prior to Clinton's announcement for taking a 2016 rerun at the presidency.
Okay.
Who broke the news? It was, I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
You've got techie people, far more computer literate than I am, that can research things like this. Valerie Jarrett.
Really?
Uh-huh. Through the New York Post, a guy named, I'm trying to remember the reporter's name.
Interesting stuff.
At any rate, Obama's administration and Valerie Jarrett tried to conceal the heck out of this.
Uh-huh.
This is part of a well-planned distraction and cover-up so that now we can quibble until November about who did what, why, where, when, and how on this alleged scandal that really didn't exist. What they're really trying to cover up is what I've been trying to bring attention to several times on your show, that Obama and Clinton gave orders to Ambassador Stevens to march into Benghazi knowing he was marching into a meat grinder.
Okay.
They didn't care about that.
Because they were moving arms to Syria.
They were trying to bring back arms that the U.S. had given to both anti-Assad and anti-Gaddafi agents who later morphed into ISIS.
Yeah, Joe.
They didn't have their eyes on reality, and yet they did these damaging things to the theater of operations there and us, and it should have been brought out before Obama got elected. It would have fouled his opportunities up, and it will foul up her opportunities in future elections if the truth were known.
Yep, that's true. Joe, thank you for the call. I got to run because we have our guest in the studio, Chris Arps. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Summer is back.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
It kind of took a little leave of absence over the last few days.
Snuck up on us, didn't it? Yeah.
Hey, got one question.
Yes.
I was with my mom, and she was having a doctor's appointment, and my phone went dead. So I didn't know that this has happened until I got in my car and charged my phone up.
Okay.
Was this a press conference that this was released?
Yeah, yes.
And did the guy have a straight face?
He did the whole time.
While he was talking the
He
whole
did.
time. Okay.
Yeah. And he talked about some of the damaging sides of this, that there were 110 classified emails, classified at the time she sent them. 8 of them were top secret at the time she sent them. 32 were classified as secret, and at least 8 were classified as confidential. In a total of 52 email chains that they looked at. And they weren't upgraded later. Right. These were classified at the time she sent them, despite her repeated statements that they weren't classified. And he said any reasonable person would have known that this stuff was classified. And then he turned right around and said, I won't recommend any charges because we don't think any of this was done with intent to harm the United States.
And don't think I'm conspiratorial now, because I'm not. But do you think there's a coincidence that Hillary and the president will be campaigning tomorrow, and today she's exonerated by the FBI?
Well,
do you think there's any coincidence there?
There's a picture of him here getting off Air Force One.
I saw it. It was beautiful.
So she's flying on Air Force One with him today.
Yeah. Had to get that FBI investigation out of the way first.
As one of the callers said, either it's extremely coincidental or the president knew in advance what was going to happen today, even though he said that nobody knew he was going to hold this news conference today.
If I was General Petraeus, I'd be pissed this afternoon.
Yeah. We talked about that earlier.
I lost some of my pension. I lost my career.
I lost my girlfriend.
Reputation.
He lost everything. He lost a lot of things in that. You know what I'm saying?
Far less than Hillary Clinton did.
Oh, my goodness. What the point I made earlier is that what Hillary's done here is basically she's been exonerated from a criminal standpoint, but the voting public needs to look at her and say, if your judgment is that poor, if you are so wrapped up in yourself that you can't see the potential damage you were doing, and the Valerie Plame case comes to mind, and all these other cases where they wanted to send people to prison for unveiling an operative in the field somewhere, and yet she was in these foreign countries sending emails on an unsecured server.
And I think what makes this even more dangerous, that if she does become president, we all know that the Russians and Guccifer and all these hackers have hacked into her email. She's liable to be blackmailed by some of these people as president because of that information out there. That's something that I think that Mr. Trump should talk more about, is that she's a potential blackmail target. I did say something positive about Donald Trump, Mark.
I like that.
I saw your face.
I appreciate that. You saw the reaction
I did.
to me, didn't you?
I was going to come over. I had to rush over there. And
let's go to cut number 7 real quick, if you don't mind, Liz, where he's talking about all the different devices that she used. Listen.
Secretary Clinton used several different servers and administrators of those servers during her 4 years at the State Department. And she also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email on that personal domain.
This is a woman who said that she couldn't use more than one at a time, and she wanted everything through her BlackBerry. So everything she said up until now has been a lie about how this all went down.
And how can you not think that this is irregular or there's nothing wrong with this? I mean, when you first came to work for MS Communications, you didn't tell them, I'm not going to use the MS Communications email system. I'm going to use my own private email system, and you send everything to me. I mean, that's how the average American can relate to that. You don't go into a business or in the government and set up your own email server.
Yeah, that's where I think the intent came in. One of our callers made that point a little earlier. There was intent to avoid any system where someone could track or request through the Freedom of Information Act this. So, Mr. Political Analyst,
yes,
put that hat on for a minute.
Okay.
Take away your dislike of Donald Trump. Does this do any damage to Hillary Clinton in November?
I think it definitely does do damage to her. As you know, her negative ratings are extremely high. And I think, the knock has been, look, everybody knows everything about Hillary. Her negative ratings can't get any higher than they are. But I think this scandal, and it's so obvious that it's a cover-up and that she did things wrong and that General Petraeus did things that were less and had his career ruined, that I think this is something that Donald Trump is going to be able to score some points on continuously until November.
I said if he doesn't have email, if he doesn't have ads out by the end of the day, he's wasting time.
Yeah.
While this is still fresh in people's mind, because all of her surrogates will go out with their talking points and hammer this on all the 24-hour news cycles that she's been vindicated when that's not really the case.
Yeah, this fits very nicely into Donald Trump's narrative that the system is rigged. This screams rigged.
It may not have raised to the level of illegality, but it was well above the normal person's level of stupidity. Yeah. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree with that, and I think it's illegal.
Yeah, there you go.
I do.
And how they've avoided this one, I don't know. Yeah. All I know is that the term Teflon no longer applies to Ronald Reagan. It only applies to anybody with the last name Clinton. Holy cow. 314-969-9797. Chris Arps, thank you for joining us today. Always appreciate your insight on this. As I mentioned earlier, we will talk to Catherine Hanaway. We're trying to get Catherine Herridge on the phone from Fox News. And John Shimkus, Congressman John Shimkus, a little later in the hour. Stick around.